Jack Warren stood in the quiet of the hydroponics bay, gently running his fingers across the leaves of his newest plant hybrid. The soft green glow of the grow lights was the only illumination he needed. Plants made sense to Jack in a way people often didn't. Each one had clear needs: water, light, nutrients, and when those needs were met, they thrived. Simple. The ship-wide announcement broke his peaceful moment. All senior staff to the bridge. We've detected a distress signal, Jack sighed. As the ship's botanist and agricultural specialist, he rarely qualified as senior staff. But Captain Lisa Donovan had made it clear when they left Earth that everyone on this mission needed to be versatile. The exploration vessel Odyssey was far from home, mapping an uncharted sector of space with a crew of just 23 people. By the time Jack arrived on the bridge, the main screen already displayed an alien ship. It was unlike anything he'd seen before, all curved edges and pale blue metal that seemed to shimmer even through the video feed. "What are we looking at, Captain?" Jack asked, staying near the back of the group. Lisa Donovan turned, her short gray hair catching the light from the control panels. "First contact, it seems. The ship's been broadcasting a distress signal for 3 weeks according to our readings." Dr. Olivia Martinez, the ship's medical officer, pointed to some readings on her tablet. "Life signs are present, but weak. Multiple beings, at least 5 distinct signatures." "We're preparing to dock," Lisa said. "Jack, I want you on the welcome team." Jack blinked in surprise. "Me? Wouldn't Ben or Mia be better? They're security." "They'll be there too," Lisa replied. "But these beings have been stranded for weeks. Their life signs suggest they're in poor health. You understand survival better than most of us." An hour later, Jack stood nervously in the airlock chamber with Ben, Mia, and Dr. Martinez. The circular door cycled open with a hiss of equalizing pressure. The smell hit them first, something like rotting vegetation mixed with ozone. Then came the aliens. They were tall, nearly 7 feet, with bodies so thin they seemed almost two-dimensional from certain angles. Their skin was almost clear, with a faint bluish tint that revealed shadowy outlines of internal organs. Large. 3 pupilled eyes dominated their faces, but what struck Jack most was how they moved, slowly, shakily, like they might collapse at any moment. One of the aliens stepped forward. Around its neck hung a device that lit up when it made a series of clicking sounds. After a moment, the device spoke in a flat, computerized voice. "Help. Dying. Food gone." Dr. Martinez moved forward with her medical scanner. "They're severely malnourished," she said after a moment. "All of them." The alien with the translation device spoke again. "Poisoned. Planet food toxic." Over the next few hours, as the aliens were brought aboard the Odyssey, their story became clear. They were Xelarians, a spacefaring race from a distant system. Their ship had suffered a catastrophic failure of its food synthesizers 3 months ago. They had landed on a nearby planet, hoping to find something edible, but everything they tried made them violently ill. "Our bodies reject all planet life," explained Ziv, the Xelarian scientist who spoke through the most advanced translator. His voice was stronger now after Dr. Martinez had provided some basic hydration treatment. "We tried every test, all toxic." The Xelarians were placed in the ship's medical bay, while Captain Donovan sent an engineering team to assess their damaged vessel. Jack found himself lingering, fascinated by these beings so different from humans. "Your food systems are completely artificial?" Jack asked Ziv, who seemed the strongest of the 5 survivors. Ziv's 3 pupils expanded slightly. "Yes, for many generations. We cannot process raw biological matter. Must be synthesized to specific molecular structures." Dr. Martinez frowned as she studied her readings. "Our synthesizers are having trouble creating compatible nutrition for their systems." "It's helping, but barely." Later that evening, in her office, Captain Donovan laid out the situation for her senior staff. The Zilarian ship is in worse shape than we thought. Their life support is failing, and their propulsion system is completely offline. What about their food synthesizers? Jack asked. Beyond repair, said Sam, the chief engineer. They use technology we've never seen before. I wouldn't even know where to start. So they're stuck with us, Lisa said. And our supplies weren't planned for 5 extra mouths, especially ones with such specific dietary needs. The nearest Federation outpost is 6 weeks away at our top speed, the navigation officer added. Jack found himself speaking up. What about the planet they landed on? The one with the toxic plants? What about it? Lisa asked. I'd like to go down and take samples. Maybe what's toxic to them isn't toxic to us, and vice versa. Dr. Martinez looked thoughtful. It's possible. Their biochemistry is radically different from ours. It's worth trying, Lisa decided. We'll send a shuttle down tomorrow. The next morning, Jack found himself preparing for planetary exploration. To his surprise, Zeev insisted on joining him. I will show dangerous plants, the alien explained. Keep you safe. The planet's surface was surprisingly Earth-like. Gravity just slightly stronger than Earth normal. Air breathable with higher oxygen content. The landscape around their landing site was dominated by dense vegetation in shades of purple, blue, and green. Zeev pointed a long, trembling finger at a purple-veined vine that seemed to grow everywhere. Deathweed, the translator said. Kills. Quickly, 3 crew tried. All nearly died. Jack carefully took samples of everything, storing them in separate containers. The deathweed particularly interested him. It had a structure similar to some edible earth plants dot back on the Odyssey. Jack spent hours in his lab analyzing the samples while Dr. Martinez continued struggling to synthesize adequate nutrition for the Zilarians. The aliens were growing weaker despite her best efforts. That evening in the mess hall, the 5 Zilarians sat together, picking at bowls of synthesized nutritional paste. Their translucent skin seemed even paler than when they'd first come aboard, and their movements were slower. Jack sat nearby, reviewing his test results on a tablet. The chemical analysis of the deathweed had come back with surprising results. To a human, it would be not only safe but nutritious, rich in proteins and complex carbohydrates. Without really thinking about it, Jack pulled out a small container from his pocket. Inside were several of the purple-veined leaves he'd collected. The conversation in the mess hall died as he opened the container. Zeev noticed what he was doing and let out a high-pitched sound that made everyone turn. The translator around his neck converted it to, "No, human, that is death." But Jack had already popped a leaf into his mouth and started chewing. The taste was surprisingly pleasant, like spinach with a hint of mint. Every human and alien in the room froze, staring at Jack in horror, waiting for him to collapse. Instead, he swallowed and smiled. "It's actually pretty good," he said. The mess hall erupted into chaos. Dr. Olivia Martinez rushed to Jack's side, medical scanner already in hand. The Zilarians had backed away to the far wall, their 3-peopled eyes wide with what seemed like terror. "Are you trying to kill yourself?" Dr. Martinez demanded as she ran the scanner over Jack's body. "That plant killed 3 of their crew." Jack shook his head, still chewing the last bit of purple leaf. "No, it didn't. It made them sick. Big difference." He pointed to his tablet. "I tested it first. The chemical structure is similar to kale, with some compounds close to mint. For humans, it's perfectly safe. Nutritious, even." Captain Lisa Donovan pushed through the small crowd that had gathered. "Explain, Warren." "Now." Jack gestured toward the Zilarians. "Their biology is completely different from ours. What's toxic to them might be perfectly fine for us. I thought about it after Ziv explained they've used synthesized food for generations. Their digestive systems probably evolved differently than ours. Dr. Martinez's scanner beeped. She looked at the results with surprise. He's fine. No elevated toxins, no allergic response. Heart rate slightly elevated, but that's probably just from all of us yelling at him. Ziv approached cautiously, the translator at his neck lighting up. Not possible. Deathweed kills. It kills Zilarians, Jack explained gently. Not humans. Our bodies are different. Captain Donovan looked thoughtful. If what's toxic to them is safe for us, then maybe what's safe for them is something we'd consider toxic, Jack finished. Or at least something we wouldn't normally think of as food. That night, Jack couldn't sleep. His mind raced with possibilities. If the purple-veined plant was edible for humans, what else on that planet might be? And more importantly, would they find something the Zilarians could eat? Early the next morning, he was back in his lab, examining every sample he'd collected. Dr. Martinez joined him, bringing her medical expertise to the problem. Ziv gave me access to their medical database, she said, setting up her tablet next to Jack's workspace. It's mostly in their language, but the translator is helping me understand the basics of their digestive system. Jack looked up from his microscope. And it's fascinating. They process nutrients almost backward compared to us. Compounds that we break down, they build up. Things we build up, they break down. Jack nodded slowly. So we need to find plants with the opposite chemical structure of what humans can eat. Exactly. They worked through the day, analyzing samples and comparing them to the Zilarian medical data. By evening, they had identified 3 possible candidates. Plants that, according to their analysis, might be digestible by the aliens. We need to test them, Jack said. Dr. Martinez frowned. How? We can't just feed them to the Zilarians. They're already weak enough. We can create extracts. Test them on cell samples first, Jack suggested. You have samples of their tissue, right? Yes, but if the cells don't die, we move to tiny amounts of actual ingestion. We start so small that even if there's a reaction, it won't be dangerous. Dr. Martinez still looked uncertain. I'll talk to Captain Donovan. The next morning, Jack found himself in a meeting with the captain, Dr. Martinez, and Ziv. The Zilarian looked even weaker than before, his translucent skin taking on a grayish tint that Dr. Martinez had explained was a bad sign. The situation is getting desperate, Captain Donovan said. Our synthesized solutions are barely keeping them alive, and we're burning through resources faster than planned. Ziv's translator light flickered as he spoke. We understand. We bring great burden. Perhaps you should continue mission. Leave us with supplies. That's not happening, Lisa said firmly. But we need to try something different. She turned to Jack. Explain your plan. Jack laid out their findings, showing diagrams of the 3 plant samples they believed might be compatible with Zilarian biology. Ziv studied them. His 3 pupils contracting in what Jack had learned was a sign of concentration. This one, Ziv said, pointing to a brown tuber that looked like a cross between a potato and a mushroom. Reminds of ancient food. Before synthesis. In history texts. That's our best candidate too, Jack agreed. Dr. Martinez's tests show it might be compatible with your digestive system. Risk is mine to take, Ziv said. I will try. The test was set up in the medical bay. Dr. Martinez prepared a tiny extract of the tuber, diluted to minimize any potential reaction. The other 4 Zilarians watched anxiously as Ziv consumed the small sample. For 10 minutes, nothing happened. Dr. Martinez monitored Ziv's vital signs closely. Then, gradually, there was a change, but not what they feared. A slight flush of color spread through Ziv's transparent tissues. How do you feel? Dr. Martinez asked, Zeev seemed to consider the question carefully. Energy. Small but real. Energy. First time since ship broke. Jack could hardly contain his excitement. It's working. The tuber is providing nutrition. They waited another hour to ensure there were no delayed negative effects. When none appeared, they prepared a slightly larger sample. Again, Zeev showed improvement. By the third day of testing, they had worked up to a full portion of the tuber, properly prepared by cooking it in water. Zeev consumed an entire meal as the humans and other Zilarians watched. The change was remarkable. Within hours, Zeev's movements became more fluid, the grayish tint in his skin replaced by a healthier blue glow. The other Zilarians began to show something Jack interpreted as excitement, a rapid blinking of their 3 pupils. "We need to go back to the planet," Jack told Captain Donovan. "Harvest as much of this tuber as we can find." The captain agreed, and the next day a team was assembled. They took one of the ship's shuttles down to the surface, landing in the same area as before. This time, Jack knew exactly what to look for. The brown tubers grew in clusters near the water's edge, buried just below the surface of the muddy soil. The team worked efficiently, digging up hundreds of pounds of the life-saving plant. As they worked, Jack noticed something else. The purple deathweed was everywhere, growing abundantly in every patch of sunlight. He began harvesting that. "Too, what are you doing?" asked Ben, one of the security officers. "We don't need that stuff." Jack smiled as he carefully cut the vines. "Actually, we do. It's nutritious for humans, remember? We might as well stock up while we're here. Who knows when we'll find fresh vegetables again?" By the time they returned to the Odyssey, the shuttle was loaded with both the alien tubers and the human-friendly purple plants. In the cargo bay, they set up a processing station, cleaning and preparing both types of vegetation. That evening, the mess hall hosted an unusual dinner. On one side sat the 5 Zilarians, each with a bowl of properly prepared tuber. On the other side, the human crew enjoyed a salad made from the purple deathweed and other edible plants Jack had identified. Ziv raised his bowl slightly before eating, a gesture the humans recognized as a toast to different poisons the translator conveyed, and different foods. Jack raised his fork with a smile, to finding nourishment where others find danger. Over the next week, the Zilarians grew stronger. Their translucent skin took on a healthy blue glow, and they moved with increasing energy. The tubers from the planet had saved their lives. Meanwhile, the human crew enjoyed the addition of fresh vegetables to their usual meals of ship rations. Jack had identified 7 different edible plants for humans, with the purple deathweed remaining everyone's favorite for its pleasant minty flavor. Captain Lisa Donovan called Jack to her office one morning. Sam, the chief engineer, was already there, looking tired. "How are the repairs on the Zilarian ship coming along?" Jack asked as he took a seat. Sam rubbed his eyes. "Slowly. Their technology is unlike anything I've seen. We've fixed the life support systems, but the propulsion is another story. It could be weeks, maybe months." "That's why I called you here," Lisa said. "We need a long-term solution for feeding our guests. The planet's tubers won't last forever, even with proper storage." Jack nodded thoughtfully. "I've been thinking about that. What if we could grow their food ourselves? I could set up a dedicated section in the hydroponics bay for the tubers." "Is that possible?" Lisa asked. "You can just farm alien plants?" "Plants are plants," Jack said with a shrug. "They need water, nutrients, and light. The specifics might be different, but the basics are the same. With Ziv's help, I think we could make it work." "Do it," Lisa ordered. "We can't keep making trips down to the planet. It's using too much fuel." That afternoon, Jack found Ziv in the observation deck, staring out at the stars. The Zilarian turned as Jack approached. "Your stars are different," Ziv said through his translator, "but still beautiful." "They're the same stars," Jack replied with a smile, "just seen from a different angle." He explained his plan to grow the tubers in the hydroponics bay. "But I'll need your help. You know more about your planet's conditions than I do." Ziv's three pupils expanded in what Jack had learned was a sign of excitement. "We'll help, AM Science Officer. Understand growing things, though only from studies. Our people have not grown food for many generations." Together they went to the hydroponics bay. Jack cleared a section, setting up special growing containers for the tubers. Ziv provided information about the soil composition and light conditions of their home planet, which Jack programmed into the bay's environmental controls. "Different," Ziv commented, looking at the neat rows of earth plants growing in the main section of the bay. "Our science vessels have no growing places. All food from synthesis machines." "That seems risky," Jack said as he carefully planted sections of the tubers in the prepared soil. "What happens if the machines break down?" "What happened to us?" Ziv said simply. "But rare. Machines very reliable. Until not." As they worked, other crew members came by to watch. The partnership between the human botanist and the alien scientist had become something of a shipboard curiosity. Even the other Zilarians visited, their movements now strong and confident as they examined the growing setup. "Why do your people use only synthesized food?" Jack asked as they finished setting up the growing system. Ziv's translator took a moment to process the question. "Long history. Our world had problems. Plants became toxic as atmosphere changed. Animals died. We adapted with technology instead of biology." "You didn't evolve to eat new plants?" Dr. Martinez asked, having joined them midway through the setup. "No time," Ziv explained. "Change too fast. Those who could build machines survived. Others did not." This information gave Jack an idea. That evening, he and Dr. Martinez met with Captain Donovan again. "I think we can do more than just grow their food," Jack said. "We might be able to help them adapt." "What do you mean?" Lisa asked. Dr. Martinez explained. "If the Solarians lost their ability to digest natural food because of rapid environmental changes, it might be possible to help them develop that ability again, slowly and safely." "Like allergy treatments?" Lisa asked. "Similar concept," Jack said. "We start with tiny amounts of modified plant matter, then gradually increase as their systems adapt. It would take time, but it could free them from dependence on synthesizers." Dr. Martinez finished. The next day, they presented the idea to the Zilarians. Ziv translated for the others, their three-pupiled eyes blinking rapidly as they discussed among themselves. "Dangerous," Ziv finally said through the translator, "but hopeful. We'll try." They started with the youngest Zilarian, Nev, who volunteered. Dr. Martinez created a highly processed extract from the tuber, breaking it down almost to its basic components. The amount was microscopic, mixed into Nev's regular meal. For 3 days, nothing happened. Nev showed no reaction, positive or negative. They increased the dose slightly. After 2 weeks of gradual increases, Nev was able to consume a small amount of minimally processed tuber with no ill effects. "It's working," Jack said excitedly to Dr. Martinez as they reviewed the results. "Their bodies can adapt." Word of their experiment spread through the ship. The human crew watched with interest as, one by one, the other Zilarians began the adaptation process. Not all progressed at the same rate. The oldest, Trell, showed the slowest improvement, but all showed some ability to adapt. Meanwhile, Sam and his engineering team continued to work on the Zilarian ship. The repairs were complicated by the alien technology, but they made steady progress. It became clear that the Zilarians would eventually be able to continue their journey. One evening, as Jack was tending to the growing tubers in the hydroponics bay, Ziv joined him. "Must show you something," the alien said, holding out a small container. Inside was a pale blue powder. "What is it?" Jack asked. "Seed spores," Ziv explained. "From my world, all science vessels carry genetic bank. Seeds of plants from before the change." Jack's eyes widened. "You mean plants that your people used to eat naturally? Before they became toxic?" "Yes, preserved but not grown for many generations. Too toxic for our world now, but perhaps they could be grown somewhere else," Jack finished, understanding immediately. Somewhere with the right conditions. Ziv's 3 pupils contracted to tiny points, which Jack had learned indicated intense focus or emotion. If adaptation process works, and if seeds can grow, our people might have choice again, not just machines. Jack carefully took the container, feeling the weight of what it represented. "This is a big responsibility, Ziv. These might be the last seeds of your world's original plants." "Trust human who eats deathweed," Ziv said, and although the translator couldn't convey tone, Jack thought he detected something like humor in the alien's posture. That night, Jack stayed late in the lab, examining the blue seed spores under a microscope. They were unlike anything he had seen before, complex structures that seemed to shift and change as he watched. He began to make plans for how to attempt germination, his mind racing with possibilities. If these seeds could grow, and if the Zilarians could adapt to eat them again, it wouldn't just save the 5 aliens on their ship. It could change the future of an entire species. Jack spent days studying the blue seed spores. He converted a small section of his lab into a special growing chamber, adjusting the light, temperature, and humidity based on Ziv's descriptions of the Zilarian home world. The alien visited often, watching Jack's work with all 3 pupils wide open. "How long until we know if they will grow?" Ziv asked through his translator. Jack carefully placed the first batch of seeds in a nutrient-rich growing medium. "Hard to say. Earth seeds can take days or months to sprout, depending on the species. These could be even more different. Our records say these were quick-growing. Food plants usually are." Jack nodded. "That makes sense. Let's hope that's still true." While they waited for the seeds to show signs of life, the adaptation process for the Zilarians continued. Nev, the youngest, was now able to eat small amounts of the planet's tubers with minimal processing. The others were at various stages, but all showing progress. Even Trell, the oldest, could now tolerate small amounts of the extract. Sam reported that the repairs on the Zilarian ship were nearly complete. Another 2 weeks, and the aliens would be able to leave if they wished. "We should discuss your plans," Captain Lisa Donovan said during a meeting with both her senior crew and the Zilarians. "Our mission requires us to continue exploring this sector, but we can arrange transport for you back to your home system if you prefer." Ziv translated for the others, and a quick discussion followed in their clicking language. "We wish to return to our people," Ziv finally said. "What we have learned here must be shared. But—" He hesitated, looking at Jack. "But what?" Lisa prompted. "We request Jack Warren travel with us to explain growing methods and adaptation process to our scientists, if permitted." Lisa looked surprised. "That would be a significant detour from our mission." She turned to Jack. "What do you think, Warren?" Jack felt conflicted. The idea of visiting an alien world, of seeing where these fascinating beings came from, was incredibly tempting. But he also had responsibilities to the Odyssey and its mission. How long would such a visit take? He asked. Ziv's pupils contracted. "Our home system is 27 of your days at our ship's top speed, with time for teaching and return. Perhaps 3 of your months," Lisa frowned. "That's too long to remove a key crew member from our mission." Dr. Martinez, who had been quiet until now, spoke up. "What if we compromise? The adaptation process is well documented now. I can prepare detailed instructions for the Zilarian medical team. Jack can prepare growing guides for their agricultural scientists, and we can arrange a data exchange. They share their star charts and cultural information. We share our botanical database. A virtual cultural exchange instead of a physical one, Lisa mused. Jack felt a mixture of disappointment and relief. While he would have loved to see the Zilarian homeworld, 3 months was indeed a long time. And there was still the matter of the seeds. That evening, as Jack was checking on the seed chamber, he noticed something extraordinary. Tiny blue filaments had begun to emerge from several of the spores. They were growing. He immediately called Zeev to the lab. The alien arrived quickly, and when he saw the sprouting seeds, he made a sound the translator couldn't interpret, something between a gasp and a song. "Life," Ziv finally said through the device. "From before the Great Change. None alive in my lifetime." Over the next few days, the seedlings grew rapidly. They developed into delicate, fern-like plants with silvery blue leaves that seemed to shimmer under the lights. Jack took careful measurements and recorded every detail of their development. "These are beautiful," Dr. Martinez said when she came to see them. "What do they provide nutritionally?" According to Ziv's records, they were a staple food for their people, Jack explained. Rich in compounds their bodies need. If we can help them adapt to eating these again, it could change everything for their species. She finished. A week before the Zilarians were scheduled to depart, Jack harvested the first mature plants. They had grown faster than he expected, already producing tiny seed pods of their own. He worked with Dr. Martinez to prepare a safe extract for testing, as Zilarians gathered in the medical bay. After discussion, they decided that Nev, who had shown the best response to the adaptation therapy, would try the extract from their ancestral food plant. The tension was palpable as Nev consumed the small sample. Everyone watched, monitors tracking every change in the young alien's body. Minutes passed with no negative reaction. Then Nev's skin began to change color, taking on a deeper blue glow than they had ever seen in any of the Zilarians. His 3 pupils expanded fully, almost merging into one large dark circle. "How do you feel?" Dr. Martinez asked anxiously. The translator conveyed Nev's response. "Full, truly full. Different from Tuber's. Better." He made a gesture toward his middle body. "Energy flows properly." The other Zilarians moved closer, examining Nev with obvious excitement. They spoke rapidly among themselves, their clicking language more musical than usual. Ziv turned to Jack. "This confirms ancient texts. These plants, more complete nutrition than anything since Great Change. Better than synthesizers." Over the next days, the other Zilarians tried small amounts of the extract, all with positive results. Jack continued to tend the growing plants, collecting and preserving seeds for the aliens to take with them. Sam completed. The repairs on the Zilarian ship, and the day of departure grew near. Jack worked tirelessly to prepare everything the aliens would need: growing instructions, seed preservation techniques, adaptation protocols. Dr. Martinez compiled medical data and treatment guidelines. The night before they were to leave, Jack found Zeev in the hydroponics bay, looking at the section where the Zilarian plants now grew alongside Earth species. "Your ship ready?" Jack asked. "Yes, all systems restored." "We are grateful." Jack gestured to the growing plants. "I've prepared special containers for you to take. They should keep the seedlings alive during your journey home." Ziv was quiet for a moment, his 3 pupils contracting and expanding slowly. "Our people have story. Ancient story from before space travel. About hope seeds? Hope seeds? In time of great danger, last seeds preserved. Not just for food, but for memory of what was. What could be again." Ziv pointed to the shimmering blue plants. "These are hope seeds now." Jack felt the weight of what they had accomplished. "Your people will be able to grow these again. Maybe not on your home planet if the conditions are still wrong, but on colonies, space stations. Yes, choice again. Not just machines. Ziv produced a small object from a fold in his clothing. For you, Jack took it. It appeared to be a data crystal of some kind, glowing faintly from within. Star charts, Ziv explained. All regions known to Zilarians. Many your people have not seen. This is incredibly valuable, Jack said, realizing what a gift it was. Thank you. Equal exchange. You give seeds of life. We give seeds of knowledge. The next morning, the entire crew of the Odyssey gathered to say goodbye to the Zilarians. The aliens had loaded their ship with supplies, tubers for immediate consumption, seedlings in growth containers, and comprehensive data on both the adaptation process and cultivation methods. Captain Donovan presented them with an official data package from Earth, botanical records, cultural information, and an open invitation for future contact. As the Zilarians prepared to board their ship, Ziv approached Jack one last time. Human strange, his translator conveyed. Eat toxic weeds. Help strangers. Give freely. There was a pause as Ziv seemed to search for the right words. Good strange. Jack smiled. Safe journey, Ziv. I hope your people welcome these changes. We'll tell story of human who ate death weed. Story will live long. Jack watched as the 5 aliens boarded their ship. The vessel's blue hull shimmered as its systems came fully online. As it lifted off from the Odyssey's docking bay, Jack felt a sense of accomplishment unlike anything in his career. He had come on this mission to study plants, not to change the future of an alien species. Yet somehow, by following his curiosity, by eating a plant that others feared, he had done exactly that. 6 months passed. The Odyssey continued its mission, mapping uncharted sectors and cataloging new worlds. Jack Warren's work in the hydroponics bay expanded, with sections now dedicated to plants from 3 different planets they had visited. Since the Zilarians departed, the purple deathweed had become a regular part of the crew's diet. Jack had developed several varieties, including one with larger, more nutritious leaves. Captain Lisa Donovan had even authorized an official entry about the plant in Earth's botanical database, naming it Stellaria jacki, Jack's star plant. 1. Quiet afternoon, as Jack was recording data on his newest seedlings, an alert sounded throughout the ship. Unknown vessel approaching, announced the ship's communication system. All senior staff to the bridge. Jack hurried to the bridge, arriving just as the main screen displayed a ship unlike any he had seen before. It was massive at least. 10 times the size of the Odyssey, with a sleek blue hull that seemed to ripple like water as it moved. Is it Zilarian? He asked, though he already suspected the answer. Yes, Lisa confirmed. But much larger than the vessel we encountered. We're receiving a transmission. The screen changed to show a Zilarian face. Jack immediately recognized. Ziv, though the alien looked different somehow, his skin had a deeper blue tone, and he carried himself with a new confidence. Greetings, Odyssey, came the translated voice. This is Science Vessel Renewal requesting permission to approach. Permission granted, Lisa responded. It's good to see you again, Ziv. Much to share, Ziv said. Request docking for delegation. Within an hour, a shuttle from the large Zilarian vessel had docked with the Odyssey. Jack, Lisa, Dr. Martinez, and Sam waited in the airlock chamber as the door cycled open. Ziv entered first, followed by 4 other Zilarians Jack had never seen before. All of them had the same healthy blue glow that Ziv now displayed. Welcome back, Lisa said formally. Ziv's. 3 pupils expanded in what Jack now recognized as pleasure. Gratitude for welcome. Have traveled far to find you again. How did you locate us? Sam asked. We've traveled quite a distance since you left. One of the new Zilarians stepped forward. Star charts provided by Jack Warren contained enough. Data for extrapolation of your likely course, I am Nav, Chief Navigator of the Science Vessel Renewal. Lisa invited the delegation to the ship's conference room. Once everyone was seated, Ziv began to explain why they had come. Return to home system was successful. Brought seeds, plants, adaptation process. Our scientists at first disbelieving. Then, Ziv paused, as if searching for the right words. Then revolutionary. Another of the new Zilarians spoke. I am Cell, Chief Biological Officer. What you discovered has changed our understanding of our own history. The adaptation process works not just for the 5 who are stranded, but for all our people. All? Dr. Martinez asked, surprised. The process works for everyone? Different. Rates of success, Cell clarified. Younger individuals adapt more quickly, but all show some improvement. We have established special adaptation centers throughout our territory. Ziv continued. Seeds grew successfully. First harvest already complete. Plants now grow in special facilities on 3 colony worlds where conditions match requirements. Jack felt a surge of pride. I'm glad the seeds thrived. We've continued to study the samples we kept. More than thrived, said another of the new Zilarians. Name is Lori, Agricultural Director. Ancient plants contain nutrients our synthesizers never fully replicated. Health improvements across all test groups exceed predictions. Our leaders have declared this the most significant scientific advancement in 3 generations, Nav added. Which is why we have come. Ziv reached into a container he had brought aboard. He carefully removed a small blue crystal sphere that glowed from within. Highest honor of Zilorian Science Council, he explained, placing it on the table before. Jack, never before given to non-Zilarian. Jack stared at the beautiful object. I don't know what to say. There is more, Ziv continued. Council proposes exchange program. Zilarian scientists to visit Earth. Human scientists to visit our worlds. Share knowledge of plants, adaptation, growing methods. Captain Donovan looked thoughtful. That would require approval from Earth's government. But I think it would be well received. We have prepared formal proposal, Nav said, producing a data crystal, complete with suggested protocols and benefits. To both species. The meeting continued for hours as they discussed the details of such an exchange. Jack found himself amazed at how much the Zilarians had accomplished in just 6 months. They had taken his work with the ancient seed plants and expanded it beyond anything he could have imagined. Later, Ziv asked to see the hydroponics bay. As they walked through the ship, crew members nodded respectfully to the aliens. Word of their return and the reason for it had spread quickly in the hydroponics bay. Ziv examined Jack's newest projects with interest. Still growing things, he observed. Always, Jack replied with a smile. It's what I do best. Ziv pointed to a section where some of the original Zilarian plants still grew. You kept them. Of course, they're fascinating plants. We've learned a lot from studying them. Ziv was quiet for a moment, his 3 pupils contracting to tiny points. Must show you something important. From another container, he produced what looked like a small silver disc. He placed it on a table and activated it. A holographic image appeared above it, a vast field of the shimmering blue plants, stretching as far as the eye could see. First harvest on Colony 3, Ziv explained. Named Warren Fields? Jack felt a lump in his throat. You named them after me? First field planted with descendants of seeds you grew. Seemed appropriate. The hologram changed to show Zilarians working in the field, harvesting the plants. Then it showed what appeared to be a medical facility, where Zilarians had different stages of the adaptation process were being monitored. Look, Ziv said, pointing to a small Zilarian child who was eating what appeared to be a raw piece of the plant. New generation. Some children adapt completely. Can eat natural food from? Beginning. That's incredible, Jack said, truly amazed. Evolution happening before our eyes. Not just evolution, Ziv corrected. Choice. Our ancestors chose technology over biology when plants became toxic. Now we choose to have both. The next day, the Zilarian delegation prepared to return to their ship. Before leaving, they presented Captain Donovan with a formal invitation for the Odyssey to visit the Zilarian home system. Would be honored if ship that saved our 5 scientists would be first human vessel to visit our homeworld. Nav explained. Lisa accepted the invitation, promising to forward it to Earth authorities, along with her strongest. Recommendation. As the aliens prepared to board their shuttle, Ziv approached Jack one last time. Strange how universe works, the translator conveyed. If our ship had not broken down, if your ship had not found us, if you had not eaten toxic weed. Sometimes the biggest discoveries come from the smallest moments, Jack replied. Ziv extended a long, thin hand. Jack had learned this was a gesture the Zilarians had adopted from studying human customs. A handshake, modified for their different anatomy. Until next meeting, Ziv said as they clasped hands. Perhaps next time you visit Warren Fields yourself. Jack smiled. I'd like that. They watched as the shuttle departed, returning to the massive science vessel. Soon after, the Zilarian ship transmitted a final message of thanks before disappearing into the depths of space. That evening, Jack stood alone in the hydroponics bay, looking at the plants that had started it all, the purple death weed that humans could eat, the blue Zilarian plants that had reconnected an alien species with their biological past, all because he had been curious enough to taste what others feared. Sometimes, Jack thought, the most profound discoveries begin with the simplest acts of courage, like taking a bite of a strange plant while hungry aliens watch in horror.